Carlson. Marcus, this is the problem with the IMF. There are strings attached when you agree to a deal with them.
It is indeed. Hi there, Francois. Hi there, everyone. The International Monetary Fund, as you've been reporting, has pledged to send Ukraine a lifeline of up to $18 billion. The money's meant to shore up the country's battered finances and also boost the government. But in return, the IMF is asking for measures that Ukrainian officials describe as painful. Prime Minister Arseniy Yatsenyuk says there's no other option. Jennifer Lush takes a closer look.
He's dubbed his government suicidal because of the deeply unpopular measures it has to take. But Ukraine's new Prime Minister says securing an International Monetary Fund loan is absolutely essential to staving off bankruptcy.
If these laws are not accepted, we predict default, and we predict a 10% decrease in GDP.
The IMF has pledged a $14 to $18 billion bailout package for Ukraine. It's a boost for Kiev's government, which has been struggling to stabilize the economy after months of political turmoil. But the deal comes with strings attached. Ukraine must stop clinging to a currency peg that has seriously depleted central bank reserves and kept the hryvnia at an artificially high level. It must also tighten its belt, with a target of reducing the budget deficit by 2.5% of GDP by 2016. But what's likely to be the most painful condition for households is a cut to its energy subsidies, a move that'll see domestic gas prices rise by 50%. Ousted President Viktor Yanukovych refused to take this step, but economists insist there'll be help for the hardest hit.
The poorest will be supported by the government, and that will ease the effect of the IMF plan.
Ukraine's finance ministry says it needs $35 billion over the next 2 years to avoid default, and the IMF's pledge goes some way to achieving that figure. The EU and Japan have already promised further aid, the total amount of international assistance reaching around $27 billion.
And as Ukraine is trying to clean up its finances, Russia is dealing with the fallout of Western sanctions. And President Putin says he wants to create a Russian payment system to rival Visa and MasterCard. It follows an American decision last week to sanction a bank that's used by some of Putin's close allies. It led to Visa and MasterCard suspending services to customers of Bank Rossiya. Russian officials have criticized the reliance of Russian banks on Western card companies.
It's a pity that some companies made a decision about some well-known restrictions. I think this will simply lead to the loss of certain market segments for them, a market which is very profitable. Well, it's not our decision. We have to protect our interests, and we'll do it.
Russia's President Putin speaking there. Next, the world's biggest economy grew faster than previously forecast at the end of last year. Fresh figures show the U.S. economy expanded by 2.6% in the fourth quarter of 2013. That's in comparison to the same period of 2012. The fresh reading is higher than a previous forecast, and economists say it's painting a rosier picture of the American economy looking ahead. Now, the number of Americans who applied for jobless benefits dropped to 311,000 last week. That's the lowest level that we've seen since November. You would think that that would lead to higher stocks on Wall Street. That hasn't been enough, though, to pull American stock markets higher. As you can see here, only the Dow Jones is higher this hour, and only slightly so, whereas the Nasdaq and the S&P 500 are in negative territory. In Europe, at the close, shares, they were largely in negative territory as well, with only the DAX eking out some gains. If we take a look at some of the stories shaping trading this Thursday, then banking shares, they've been under pressure in both the United States and Europe. It comes after the Federal Reserve barred Citigroup from raising dividend payments to shareholders or buy back its own shares. The Fed said the American bank may need the cash if there's a sharp economic downturn. Citi is the biggest out of 5 lenders that fell short of the requirements in the Fed's annual health check of American banks. Alstom also suffered on Thursday, and its share price closed 5% down. It followed a Bloomberg report the French engineering group could face one of the largest ever anti-corruption fines. The U.S. Justice Department is currently investigating allegations of possible bribery in Asia by Alstom. The French company says it's cooperating with the probe. And shares in Lufthansa were under pressure on Thursday during a strike by ground staff at German airports. The German flag carrier was the hardest hit airline and it had to cancel hundreds of flights. Baggage handlers and maintenance workers were among those who downed tools asking for higher wages. The strike wrapped up early afternoon in Germany and traffic is getting back to normal, but there could be some knock-on effects. So check those times before you head out to the airport if you are travelling from Germany this evening. That is the business news for now. It's back to you, Francois.
All right, many thanks for that, Marcus.